You actually mentioned about the open protocol as well. So that's you hear that term used like on the internet and stuff. How is that being used to benefit?
That's a good question, especially related to utilities, because the utilities want open standards and global communication standards and safety standards. This is job one for ABB, is making safe products,
Mm-hmm.
and by being interoperable and open standards, you're less likely to have a stranded asset. If you have what's like a vertically integrated proprietary hardware software stack that doesn't communicate with anything else in the system, if that should stop iterating, if they should go out of business, if
Right.
then you're stuck with this asset that you have to remove. So by our hardware being based on open standards, so the Open Charge Point Protocol, or OCPP, is the basic charger car cloud communication standard. So we're built to be agnostic for any of the dozens and dozens of OCPP networks that are available to operate
Okay.
the stations. The same is true of communicating with buildings and loads. Those communication protocols have to be open and standardized. And so that's the way we look at it, because that's the only way to get to scale.
Before, like say 20, 30 years ago, I don't think you would have heard that terminology for like the open protocols. So essentially it has to be, is that being regulated as well, that it has to come in like for those charging networks, that they're going to have to all be on the cloud essentially?
So regulation might be a strong word.
Okay.
But almost every utility program that I have been involved in since 2010 has a line or a paragraph about open standards and open protocols.
Okay.
There, and it started with like, is your hardware able to use OCPP? Check the box.
Mm.
All right. Now, what is happening is there's dozens and dozens of networks around the world, and you can have a software stack that has the Open Charge Point Protocol in it, but you don't necessarily have to use it. You can use your own proprietary network. So you can check the box because you have the software.
Oh, I
but
see.
You do not sell your product that way. You sell it vertically integrated. So it ends up on the system without interoperability. It's not plug and play. So now what you're seeing is the utility requests for RFPs, and also from municipalities, governments, even the federal government of the United States has said this,
Mm.
that you have to be Open Charge Point Protocol, latest version. And then they also want to know how many different networks that you've deployed with. How many different, if you're a charging hardware operator, how many different networks have you deployed with? If you're a software company, how many different hardware companies? Because you can be a software company.
Oh, okay.
And it's think of it like a cell provider.
Yeah.
You can use you can be operable on a variety of different phones.
Right.
Your phone is the charging station.
Yeah.
Your T-Mobile, your Verizon is the charging network.
Right.
And you can just go to the store and say, I want to change from this one to this one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You might remember back in the day when the iPhone first came out, you could only get it on one network for like 2 to 3 years.
Right.
All right. And then they opened that up.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's kind of the best analogy, I think, is the cell phone being the hardware and the provider being the network.
How are you seeing that affect the grid? Like you said about there's clean and cleaner, and obviously those are the big focuses now for that power generation. Then there's the dirty generation, which is kind of like, can you unpack that, how that's affecting this as well?
Yeah, digitization is something that utilities are looking at, quite deeply, because that is a topic that brings in the modernization of the grid, right? So with global warming and all of the disasters that we're having nowadays, it's putting a stress on the grid. It's putting a stress on the utilities. So digitization helps them because, when you install sensors, voltage sensors, current sensors, reclosers, SCADA systems, you can pinpoint where the issues are, and you can help minimize downtime with faults when you have faults, right? So yeah, ABB does help with that. We have all kinds of product solutions that can help with that, and making sure that all the data is collected, put into their system, and also can go to the cloud securely. That's another topic altogether for utilities,
right?
That we can get into, but digitization is very important. You have lots of solar sites, windmills, things like that coming online. And it's not as easy as just sending cables over, tying them into the grid.
Mm-hmm.
You need to understand what they're doing and making sure that they don't destabilize the grid. So you need all of that data, and so digitization is a big piece that the utilities work on.